Gemini, and welcome in to your end of a cycle coming out of the winter solstice into the spring equinox. But this is a reading for an anytime reading when you are coming out of a cycle. What cycle is ending for you? So I'm going to go ahead and get an archetype card. We're going to use see what cycle is ending by looking through the archetypes. An archetype is a kind of form that we can experience in order to learn a karmic lesson. So the cycle that's ending for you, Gemini, is related to this particular archetype. Spirit, what archetype is ending? What lesson or cycle is ending for Gemini? I'm going to go ahead and take that one that got left behind. Rebel. Yes. So archetypes are like the villain, the hero, the damsel in distress. The cycle that you're coming out of, Gemini, is rebel. I'm going to use the light attribute here for the card. If it had come out reverse, I would say it was a shadow attribute you were dealing with in your last cycle. Rebel says, challenges authority to reflect, to affect social change, rejects spiritual systems that do not serve inner needs. All right, pushing to make changes in the world and to be a rebel. Really learning how to step into your rebellious nature in order to affect change. So I'm going to get some more information, but before I go any further, just to clarify that this is a reading for Gemini. If you are a Gemini sun, moon, or rising, or you're dealing with the Gemini, you might have also been drawn to this reading because of the title. This is a timeless reading, so whenever you see this reading, it applies to you. It is possible that you might be seeing it at the same time I'm doing this reading, which is during the winter solstice, or at the end of the winter solstice. So we're actually already into the spring equinox for 2022. But this is dealing with the cycle that you've just come out of, coming out of the darkness of winter over the last year. What were you working on, Gemini? Again, this is timeless, so when you see this, this has to do with whenever you're ending a cycle. If you're not a Gemini, but you like the title and you're listening to this, you don't have a strong Gemini placement in your chart, take what resonates and leave the rest. So I'm going to dig in a little more here to Rebel. I'm going to get some clarification with Tarot. There'll be an extended where I'll go deeper and get some animal spirit advice, as well as a message from your soul. All right, what is going on for you, Gemini? So really with Rebel, the message is anarchist, revolutionary, political protester, nonconformist, pirate. You want to look for lifelong patterns of rebelling against the establishment. But even if rebel isn't part of your intimate circle, you probably have it to some extent and should pay attention to it. So the beneficial parts of this is that as a rebel, that you, whether politically inclined or as an artistic innovator, the rebel is a key component of all human growth and development. It helps you see past tired preconceptions in professional or creative work, or to reject spiritual systems that don't serve your inner needs. Alrighty, so good for you. You learned how to manifest and really step into using rebel energy to affect change in your life, Gemini. That's what you were really all about doing. The shadow side of this is where we reject out of peer pressure, right? Or because it's trending. But that's not what we're doing here. Like, you're really in that higher vibration of the rebel, learning how to rebel against things that don't work, push back, affect change, speak truth to power. That's been your lesson, Gemini. Very interesting over this last cycle. Speaking truth to power. All right, so we're going to get some clarification as I say that. This is a judgment card, or in this deck called time space, but it came out in reverse, so I'm going to look at that a little bit. But let me go ahead and shuffle these cards. I'm using the Voyager Tarot for this reading. I'm going to get 4 cards. The first card is going to be where you stand right now, Gemini. Where have you done your greatest growth? What still needs to be released? And a surprise message from the universe. So let's see here. Spirit, what messages do you have for Gemini around their rebellious nature, a rebellious cycle? All right, so you're coming out as the Guardian or Woman of Crystals. This is Queen of Swords in a traditional deck. But the Guardian, really like protecting yourself, truth and integrity. You know, she's got this stone on her third eye there. I mean, really taking in those clear messages from Spirit. Connecting to your internal self, your yin energy, your heart chakra, really being very protective, and I think being protective of truth, yes, and maybe even the truth around women or women's issues, definitely coming through here, and a protector, right, a protector of this. This Judgment card in reverse is called Time Space. This is an interesting one because it did come out here. It makes me think it should add on here either to maybe these 2 cards. Realizing that things are connected across time and space is typically what this card, but in reverse. So time and space is being able to connect the past, the present, and the future to see how our karma is playing itself out, how all events are connected, right? So very much part of this rebel energy. Like I'm standing and speaking for truth. But what the universe is sending out this message in reverse is that a caution actually. So this is what still needs to be let go of. This is in that position. But that you could be too mental and not physical, right? You're ignoring, like you have these ideas about how things should be, but not actually getting out on the ground and pushing real social change. Really helping people connect to how to change their circumstances, right? Like you can challenge and affect for social change, Gemini, but a concern here is that you're a little bit too connected to the spiritual, internal, right? This is a lot, I mentioned a lot of yin energy, thinking through this, maybe you have a lot of lofty ideals, but it's about getting out and putting those into practice, right? And that's the judgment, like the judgment reversed, or in this case, time and space is not connecting time in space to the material world. So it's staying too much in the 5D, not coming enough into the 3D. So staying too spiritual, not enough earthly. But you can think of the judgment card as typically, or the resurrection, the waking up, getting woke. But this in the reverse is not waking up. Right? It's like I'm still in the dream state. I have the ideas, but I'm not busting those out to help make that change a reality. All right. So interesting on that. All right. Where you've had the greatest growth, Ace of Cups, love. In this particular deck, though, ecstasy. Ecstasy is like extra. Really finding that connection to the beauty of love in everything, right? Being able to see the divine in the flower, And seeing yourself in the flower, right? Seeing yourself in the divine, and then the divine in the flower, like really figuring out how everything is connected. So this is definitely a message of being connected. You're in this space of being guardian of Gaia, guardian of the people. I mentioned women's issues, but this is like the goddess energy, even though that would have been Empress. This is a little bit more of a, yeah, it's like you're not in so much of a mothering role as you are very much connected to time and space mentally, but you need to kind of, I think what Spirit wants you to do is also open those eyes and start connecting, right? Connecting with the physical world, like getting people on board, not just you. Yes, you're seeing that connection of everything and figuring out where true love really lives, right? It's not just in some fairy tale, some relationship, a job. It is life itself. Ecstasy is life itself. What still needs to be released? Growth. All right. You still got some growth to do. You're not there all the way yet, Rebel. And that's the growth here. You need to make this tangible. That's what's popping out here. That's where that one goes. Yeah, you still need to keep growing. I'm going to clarify a little further. I'm going to clarify further in the extended. So we can look a little deeper into that. And then what's the surprise message for next year from the universe? Synthesis. I got 8 of crystals. 8 of swords. 8 of swords traditionally is kind of being stuck in your head. I mean, definitely the universe is trying to push you out of your head. You've got great ideas. But there's a sense of being trapped in your head. In this case, the surprise is figuring out, this isn't so much of a negative card. This is figuring out how to take all of those ideas swimming around in your head and bring them into some make sense out of it. Make sense out of it. So the universe is going to be bringing in an ability to make sense out of a lot of these different pieces, these different perspectives, ideas. Yeah, bringing them together to build something. So not just being a rebel in your mind, but figuring out how to be a bring it into the material world, right? Get it out of you into some yang energy. There was something as I was putting the deck, it just struck me I should pull the next card out, so I did. Surprise for next year. Fear. 7 of Cups. 7 of Cups. And so again, very different kind of interpretation in this deck, because the 7 of Cups normally is about choices. Here, this is fear. Our cups are overturned. A lot of emotion going on. A lot of 8 of Swords or 8 of Crystals can be a lot of mental energy, a lot of fear. Figuring out how to... Okay, so that's why you haven't... That's why you still have growth to go. You're going to keep on that growth journey. You're going to figure out how to make this thing real, to really have the revolution, Judgment Day. Right, you're holding back on Judgment Day. And because there's some fear, you don't know how to make it work, how to pull everything together. Spirit says next year I've got that plan for you. And figure out how to do that. How to move you from guardian into action, right? The growth is around fear and being able to bring everything together. That's awesome. Alrighty, let's go ahead and get a card from the Whispers of Healing. I think of archetypal space as moving through karmic lessons, and so how do you step into your energy? How do you step into your new energy? How have you healed? And so I'm going to go ahead and get a card. Spirit, will you please um, go ahead and give us some final advice here for Gemini. Final advice here for Gemini on the cycle that's ending for them. And the card I have is Reawaken. Of course, right? It's all about Judgment Day and waking up. I have to like that. The channel's name Judgment Day. I have to love the wakey wakey. It's time to reawaken. This is a 7 card, so definitely a spiritual number there. Reawaken. As we can see, someone is asleep. A bit of in a dream state. It's time to, you've gotten this lesson on how to be a rebel. You've learned how to use your rebellious nature for good, right? Not just being, maybe you were a rebellious teenager. Maybe, you've been somebody who never went along with the rules. But it is time to take that rebellious, right? You've learned how to use that for good. You've gotten a good sense of how to be a protector. You understand the importance and connection through all of life. But now you really need to wake up and really step into your power. You've got some work to do, some growth to do. And what's coming up for you next year is, right, like overcoming that fear. Let me read this Reawaken card. All right. So, you have been suppressing a part of yourself. This card is granting you the opportunity to heal self-judgment or embrace any hidden aspects of your nature. Now that's also interesting because I mentioned judgment in reverse, right? So maybe you don't think you can do something, but Spirit's saying absolutely. The primary relationship you have with yourself was formed in infancy. Your relationship with your present self developed on that foundation and adjusted based on the experience and observations of the wider world. Become aware of your inner child. Be willing to consciously communicate with the child that is within you. Listen to how your inner child feels. It is imperative to realize that others cannot meet your unfulfilled needs. Take responsibility for your happiness. It is up to you to satisfy your heart's desire. Work on healing any buried hurts you have been carrying with you. You may be unaware of where your emotional pain stems from. This is a gentle prompt for you to determine the cause of your pain. If necessary, seek support by getting at the root of your issues. A ray of sunlight on a resting fairy highlights the importance of inner healing. The wings of a fairy usually stand for liberation or freedom. The daisies that surround the fairy represent purity and innocence. This imagery is addressing the innocence that lies within you. The spider web in the foreground is symbolic of the choices you are making and the network of support available to you. Trust that deep healing is possible. You will be able to move on from this place once you let go of your hidden hurts. So, what I'm getting from this, Gemini, is, right, certainly you didn't develop as a rebel with a cause for no reason. Whatever taught you very early, so we're talking about your inner child that needs to reawaken, taught you very early to rebel, maybe also taught you about how you could never maybe be establishment, right? The very opposite of the thing that you rebel against, like how you can take, because the resistance to grounding your ideas, the thing you're guardian of, your knowledge in the world, instead of keeping it all inside of you or in a spiritual sense, is that then you would have to jump on and become that which you rebel against. But you've got to work on those inner hurts, right? Like, everybody in the establishment is bad, or I could never be a part of the establishment. That would make me um, complicit, or somehow somebody who hurts other people, or takes advantage, or whatever the belief system is that goes along, that pushes you, right? Whatever you've seen. But it's time to wake up from that. Like, you're a sleeping giant, and you need to heal whatever limiting beliefs you have going on, because Spirit really wants you to keep growing. That's what has to continue. So the thing you need to let go of isn't growth. It's that you need to continue. You've got more growth ahead of you, right? And it's time to be able to ground things and incorporate your fear. Figure out how to keep yourself moving forward, and take your ideas someplace exciting. All right, Gemini, that's what I've got for you. I'm going to clarify a little bit further in the extended, and get some animal spirit advice and a message from your soul. So hopefully you enjoyed this.